Hello, and welcome to Informatically Speaking, a Greater Delaware Valley ANIA podcast designed to promote knowledge sharing in the field of nursing informatics, locally, nationally, and globally within our unique industry. At GDV ANIA, we are committed to providing opportunities for professional development with the goal of advancing nursing informatics practice. I'm your host, Constance McLaughlin. Welcome back, everyone, to a new year of our GDV chapter podcast, Informatically Speaking. Today, we have with us Lauren Andry, who currently works at Oracle Health. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Constance. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so what we want to talk about today is leading through change, leading through uncertainty, and that could mean a few different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could mean leading through job changes, your job change or your team's changing, or it could be what we're all experiencing that is not slowing down is innovation, especially in the healthcare space. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? That's a big bite to start off with. So why don't we start with that? I just want to get some of your thoughts on leading through change.
Yeah, that is a big question. So, I mean, I think what I've tried to do, and I'm a relatively new leader, I'd say within the past 5 years or so, I've really stepped into some leadership roles formally. Tried to be a leader. We're not even in title, but I try to just acknowledge the changes that are happening, particularly with my team. I think, it's being transparent, being open with them around, we're all experiencing this change together. So whether it's like you said, recently we've gone through some changes in our role and what our function is, acknowledging that we're going through that together, I think is important. It gives people a sense of they're not alone if they're feeling uncertain. They're not alone if they're trying to determine and figure out where we're going. It's we're in this together and we'll work through and figure it out together. And then I think for me, an industry perspective, and AI is a huge buzzword and everyone's talking about it. And I think the uncertainty is, what does that mean? I think when everyone says AI, it could mean something different, and trying to figure that out. And again, work with, for me, with my team on how do you stay relevant? How do you stay current? How do you, again, acknowledge that we're not going to be the experts right away, which in some cases we felt like we were about other things. Now we're in a place of, this is new to everybody. So how are we feeling kind of comfortable in this new learning that we have to do, and trying to kind of navigate through that together, I think is important. So I guess my theme in that big question is kind of togetherness, like coming together, recognizing that we're all in the same position, and how can we kind of guide and lead the team together in a way.
Yeah, and it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? I mean, I've heard that saying for probably a couple of decades now, but it's so true, and it's hard to prepare for that. You can't be, but as a leader, I think you constantly have to be prepared for change and be prepared to help your team move through that or past it, or just be comfortable with changing. And through that, you're showing your own vulnerability and being transparent along the way, so that you can help each other get through it, right?
Yeah. I think that it's the balance of being transparent, being vulnerable. I constantly am asking my team for grace if we're learning about something at the same time. It's not for a lack of desire to communicate. It's really just we're kind of in a state where we have to be just comfortable, like you said, with the changes that are happening. And then it's balancing that vulnerability and transparency with the other piece that you mentioned, which is the confidence, or at least the positivity, and just the getting comfortable with, we're going to get through this. We can be uncertain together, but it doesn't it doesn't have to be a bad thing. We can work through it. It's kind of an exciting opportunity to rethink the way that we've always done things, and kind of an opportunity to reinvent, how we want to move forward. So trying to find, I think, some of those positives to balance the kind of negative feelings of uncertainty that can come when these big changes are happening.
Yeah, and I think so because it is exciting to keep changing, but a lot of people get nervous about it. So your positivity about the change, even though you're feeling uncertain with it, I think says a lot about you as a leader. But I think also too, folks that may be listening to this, I think one theme that keeps coming up throughout all of the podcasts that have gone throughout the year has been, how do I get started? What do I do? And I think people just don't realize, especially in an informatics role, they don't realize they already are leaders and they're not, you know what I mean? So I think that that has to sink in first. And I'm really hoping that these kinds of conversations are helping folks to realize that they are leaders. And sometimes it may not be, might not click right away. But certainly hoping that these conversations are helping people to realize not only A, that they are leaders, but B, that they need to be creative about thinking through things like this, and have a vision. And that's one thing that I think some people don't realize too, is that, you just don't wake up and become a leader one day, right? It's through experience, it's through your experiences and your learnings. And as you have education upon education and all kinds of leadership classes and stuff like that, you pull little things from everywhere and you find little experiences. And I think it's about being self-aware and really reflecting and thinking about how you're learning, and then saying, well, then if I'm doing it this way, are other people doing it this way? Or how do I adjust? Right. So it's a constant readjustment for everybody.
Yeah. Well, and as you were saying that, I was rethinking my introduction where I felt the need to start with a caveat of, well, I've only been in a leadership role for 5 years, kind of the official term of a leader. But to your point, I think it's recognizing in yourself, you don't, even if when you have the leadership role, it's not like you just showed up and got it. It's all of the things that led you to that and the ways that you were leading in each of those, areas to get you to this point. And recognizing that you deserve the seat at the table. You've earned the seat at the table. To your point, you need to come with a voice. You need to have, a perspective and feel confident in sharing it. That's easy to say. And I mean, I think what I suffer with, and I feel like a lot of people do, is the imposter syndrome of, am I really the one that's supposed to be here? Is somebody else more qualified or whatever? And I'm trying to get to a place that I still battle it a little bit, but I'm definitely getting better of, if I wasn't meant to be here, I wouldn't be here. And if it wasn't my voice that should be heard, I wouldn't be invited to speak, So it's, I think it's just recognizing, like you said, you've done so much to get to where you are, and you've brought so much great experience and insight. And it's trying to build the confidence and get past the self-doubt of, I want to share that, and I should be sharing that with other people that I'm working with. And for the podcast and things like this, I think what's great, and whether this helps somebody else or not, but every time I hear somebody else talk about it, it is so validating of like, okay, so it's not just me that feels this way. And okay, if we all feel this way, then none of us should feel this way, really. And so just kind of not hiding behind the self-doubt and really just talking about it, and navigating and working through it. And for me as a leader, I try to be, like I said, just very transparent. I try to lead by consensus and build collaborative environments, because as much as I want to be, a voice too, I recognize like we're stronger together, and getting people bought in and bringing people along where they feel like they have that shared ownership is, I think, how we all continue to build each other up and bring the best ideas forward.
I couldn't agree more. I do want to dig in a little bit with imposter syndrome, because I think it's something that I'm hearing more about it.
Mhm.
And I have to say, I don't know how many years ago now it was. It wasn't that long ago. Maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 years, something like that, when I changed roles and I started to feel so let's talk about the feelings that come with imposter syndrome, right? I was overwhelmed. I felt really insecure and self-conscious and just thinking, I don't know if this is the right thing for me, feeling shy about speaking up.
Mhm.
And there's so many other things that come with that. And I'll just say, I'll just preface with the two of us are not experts in this field whatsoever,
Right.
but we've gone through it, right?
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. You doubt yourself, you think you're not in the right position, but you know what? I'm a true believer in everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
And people see things in you that you don't always see in yourself. And I think that's another learning point. It's another turning point in your career when you are forced to reflect and look at yourself and say, I am in the right place.
Yeah.
I have the experience. I have the brains
Mhm.
to keep moving forward and make something really awesome out of
Yeah.
this that I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. For me too, the other feeling that came up was like decision paralysis, constantly just second guessing, is this the right thing to do next? Is this where I need to go? And I don't know if I saw it in like a line in a movie or something, but I always kind of think, what's the next best thing? Like, what's the next right thing that I feel is the step I need to make? And if I follow that intuition and follow that, kind of gut feeling around, I think this is where my experience, my insight, my brains, all the things you just said, are leading me, trusting that and trusting that again, it wouldn't be me in the seat if it wasn't meant to be me in the seat. So I'm in the seat, I need to own it and really starting to trust myself in those decisions. But early on, I think that's how I felt. Looking back, I think that's the feeling that came about the most was just uncertainty and doubting my ability to make the right choice. And so everything took longer than it probably should have in the beginning as you're learning and figuring things out. But it just comes with time. I'm for example now 9 months into a new role. If you talk to me a month into a new role, I would not have, I'd have a totally different perspective than I do now, and just kind of recognizing some of the growth that's even happened quickly. And every time a change happens, every time a new role or something comes along, you forget what it's like to be new until you're new. And then you're like, oh, I don't like this feeling. And, got to work through it all over again. And it's like, just back to the experiences you take with us, it's like, if you can go back and think to every time you were new, you overcame that fear every single time, which is what got you to the next thing. And so starting to recognize that, and then hopefully that period of uncertainty just gets shorter and shorter and shorter with each new role you take on or each change you face.
And I
Hopefully.
think it does. I mean, I think, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, you know what? I think it does. Like as you move along, it's like riding a roller coaster, right? So the first time you get on, you're like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And after you get through the first hill and you're like, okay, there aren't any bigger ones now. So this is the first
Yeah.
one's the biggest one. But as you move along and you bring your experiences and your expertise and all of your learnings, that hill doesn't feel as big every time you are new, and the run time gets or the runway gets a lot shorter as you move through. And I like that you were talking about leading by consensus. As leaders, I wanted to touch a little bit on that too. When you and I think I was just talking about this during one of the recent webinars that we had, talking about how in leadership, when you are starting out, um, the very first thing you have to do beyond the vision and trying to marry what your vision is for the work that needs to be done, because you already know what needs to be done coming into the job, right? And marrying your thoughts and how your creativity is going to take all this forward and the team with leadership and the strategy and
Mhm.
marrying those two things, and then bringing the team along. It's really about understanding them
Mhm.
first before. So you have all of this in your brain swirling around saying,
Mhm.
okay, this is the end point that I
Mhm.
know we need to get to, but they don't know that. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so here I am. I got to figure this out. And then I need to make sure that we're working to achieve the goals and what's the timeline and all that kind of thing. But then you have a group of people looking at you saying, all right, what?
Yeah.
What am I doing? What are you doing? You're new to me. And you have so much work to do to gain that consensus, right? Gain
Mhm.
the trust. So that's another big piece of it too, walking into it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say that's the style I'm aspiring to, and what I'm getting at. I wish I could say I was perfect at it, because as you're saying that, I'm like, well, maybe I didn't do that well. But it's it is that. I think, again, to me, the imposter syndrome or the self doubt or pressure you put on yourself coming into the new role is like, okay, I've got to get to the end goal right away, right away. And I've certainly done that even in my current role to some extent of pushing to where I know we need to go, and then realizing, wait a second, I'm leading a team of leaders. So they're coming with so much great experience, so much great insight, so much great history that we don't need to repeat, that I can show them, hey, this is where we need to go. Let's build the path there together is really what I'm trying to get to. And I think the style that feels the most natural to me. And I mean, I'm sure you say the same, but like as you go through the career and you interact with different leaders across the board, styles are so different, personalities are so different, and how things are approaching. And I've tried to be the hammer, I've tried to be the tough guy, I've tried to be all these things. Like that's just not me. And
No,
so, settling into, this is just who I am. I don't have to change who I am as a lead, to be a leader. Like this is just me. I am the leader. That's it. And so trying to recognize in every other facet of my life, like I want people to come along with where we're going. Why wouldn't I bring that into the work that I'm doing? So I don't think I knew that right away, which again, like trying to push to where I knew we needed to go first. But now it's we got to build the path together to get there, because I can't drag anybody, that we won't be successful that way either. It's got to be almost them encouraging each other to go down this path that we've built together. So trying to do it.
yeah, absolutely. And but where do you get your strength, right? So you're you're the leader, they're looking to you, even though they are leaders in and of themselves, you have the vision of the greater picture, the strategy, where you think you want to go. They're still looking to you
Mhm.
for direction.
Yeah.
And where do you get your strengths? So I know that we wanted to talk a little bit about mentorship as well. The importance of it, why you need a mentor, what do you even do with a mentor? Because I've actually had people say to me, I would love to have a mentor. I understand what it is,
Mhm.
but how do I utilize a mentor? And I think this is a good jumping off point for that.
Yeah. And I think it's a great question. I think, and I've asked myself that many times, because, in our industry, there's so many wonderful leaders that you can look up to and reach out to, and even outside, to get a different perspective as you just encounter strong leaders and good people outside of it. But I think I've been lucky. My best mentor didn't start as a me kind of saying, "Hey, you're my mentor." It just kind of grew into, "Oh, you're doing what I need a mentor to do," without me even realizing it until looking back. And so, one of the best things that my mentor and now a good friend has said, and former boss, so he's been all of those things over the years, is, I'd go to him in the beginning, like, "Hey, what should I do about this? I'm trying to decide. What are your thoughts here?" And he'd say, "You're in charge. You're the clinical leader. What do you want to do?" And I'd be like, "Well, I need you to tell me what I don't know what to do." In the beginning, it's like you're so self-conscious about trying to make the decision and be decisive. And every single time I went to him to talk about something for the first year almost, it was, tell me what you want to do. You're in charge. And I hated it. And it made me so mad at him. Like, I need your help is what I need. And then I started to realize, oh, well, every time I've asked him and he didn't tell me, I figured it out. And then it was one point that it clicked of, okay, now I get it. And now the conversation turns to, hey, here's how I'm thinking about this. Can you help me talk through these three options that I'm considering? And it became more of a, now I do need your mentorship and support in these different realms. So I don't know if that answers the question of how to use a mentor, but I think for me, it was once I recognized this person is helping me grow, this person is helping me, to your point earlier, see things in myself that I didn't see before. Once I realized that, then it was, okay, what would I want to ask of that person now that I know they are that, capable of being that for me? And so that became a brainstorming person. It became we think about things totally differently. He's on the business side and knows the other parts of healthcare than I do. And so we made a really good kind of balancing, I think, connection there of bringing different perspectives and helping to talk through different scenarios. So it's I don't have an answer to the like how do you use it? I think that is a really good question. I'd love to hear your thoughts there too. But I think it's when you get one, it's really kind of more for me been very natural versus times when I've tried to say, Constance, will you be my mentor? Then it's like, well, I don't really know what to do with Constance right now, but
Right.
I know I want to say I've got you in my support group. So having that naturally occur, I think for me, again, just felt very authentic and was then easy to just kind of fall into.
Well, and I think that's the best way to go about it. Because so in my experience, I went through the same thing, and I think everybody does because you're not really sure how to utilize that person. You just know that you aspire to them and how they handle things or how they function or whatever it is that you're admiring about this person. But it's again, you have to reflect on yourself and what it is that you want or what
Mhm.
you really need, right?
Mhm.
So, when you look at certain people and you might say, so and so, will you be my mentor? It's always a big builder for them, right? Because they
Yeah.
get all puffed up and they're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yes, of course. And then you think, okay, what is it that I really wanted from this person? I don't remember, or,
Yeah.
I think it's more about looking to that person to be to talk more on a peer-to-peer basis than
Mhm.
really looking at this person as, oh my gosh, you're vice president. How do I even talk
Yeah.
to you?
Mhm.
It's more about, you know what? I'm here. You put me here for a reason, or somebody put me here for a reason,
Yeah.
and I need help talking through something. Or it's not that you're looking for specific answers or specific guidance, but it's
Mhm.
the scenarios that come about. And, am I going in the right direction?
Mhm.
Like you were saying, here's my three options that I'm considering. You're not asking that person to tell you what to do.
Mhm.
You're using that person as a peer, and that helps you to grow
Mhm.
in every sense as a person, as someone in business, as someone, a clinician, whatever it is. I think that's the best way, and I hope that's not like a nebulous way to explain it. I know it's
Yeah.
it's hard to grasp it, but I think a lot of people just need a little bit of a leg up when it comes to a mentorship.
Well, I think the part you said, and I recognized it late in my situation, and then once I did, I was like, okay, this is what I needed out of him. I needed someone to help me grow and help me to just be confident in my voice. But there are certain things like now that I see, I'm like, oh, I would love, even some of the basics of like, how do you organize? How do you, not organize your day, but like I'm looking at my list of things in my mind and on paper that I need to do. It's like, okay, how do you structure? What tools are you using? When you see someone that's doing it really well, like now it's, hey, can I get 30 minutes with you? I really admire how you do X. I'd love to just, hear from you, your perspective or thoughts on it. And then as that relationship potentially builds, whether it's from that, example or just the, situations we've talked through, I think the other piece that I found is it goes both ways. Like now that person for me would say, I help him think differently about things. And, we have a chance to kind of, to your point, if you look at it like a peer to peer type relationship, then recognize that you have something that you could offer that person too, that, wasn't the initial intent, but something that they're going to get out of it as well. So it's not as uncomfortable as like, hey, can I get some time with you? It's like eventually it turns into you both want to be talking and having these conversations because it's collaborative and it's exciting and you're hearing different perspectives. So it's worth the awkward part because eventually you get to that, which I think is really rewarding.
I agree. I agree. Well, Lauren, it is always great to talk with you. We don't talk often enough, that's for sure. And it's great to see your face. I do miss our conversations. This has been great. I love that we touched on so many different topics and we took a little bit of a deep dive into how we were feeling and how we were moving along. Both of our perspectives, I think, are worth listening to. So I hope everybody else feels the same way, and hope that you come back and join us again sometime.
Thank you, Constance. Love talking to you. Love seeing you. Yeah, I hope this is the first of many conversations, recorded or not, that we get to keep happening.
Excellent. Yes, we will plan more.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll join us again for another session of Informatically Speaking.
This has been a production of the Greater Delaware Valley chapter of the American Nursing Informatics Association. For more information about the GDV-ANIA chapter, visit us at community.ania.org/Greater Delaware Valley/home.